Well, greetings everyone, and welcome to Midnight's Edge in the morning. There's no introduction today because Tom isn't here just yet, but again, no introductions are needed because I'm joined by Lauren Chen. Welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me again.
It's great to have you on again. I believe this is the third time you are here, isn't it?
Yes, very lucky to be, so I really appreciate it. It's always a fun chat.
And it's always a blast to have you on. And today is a particularly good timing to have you on because we have so much exciting happening in our little realm of the internet and the world and subculture and all of that, especially with GameStop of all of those things. And we're going to get into GameStop, we're going to get into Star Wars, we're going to get into everything else that moves. But before that, I have to say greetings to everyone in the chat. We have Silver Nova, who also says hey to you, Lauren. We have Anibal Morales joining us. We have Catsit. Alex Ashkan is here. And Sharon, he is in my part of the world where it's 6 p.m. land. And Gojira Star is here. Jordi Leon's here. Oh, Sander Hammerslag is here. And he says, hail, Lauren. Which I think we can all agree with. We have Eric O'Sullivan here. And of course, we have Natasha Cloutier, our ever-trusted wrench, who we really, really appreciate helping us out. I also think that we may be shadow banned today because we don't really have that many people watching right now. So it would be great if you could help us out with hitting the like, because that increases visibility, and with sharing the link. That would be most welcome. And we also have Script Doctor in the chat. I'll send you a link by email in case you have the time and opportunity to join us. So, Lauren, let us get into the topics at hand. And the first one, of course, is GameStop. And I have to say, I think it's absolutely delightful. Now, of course, you've already covered this on your channel. So, Lauren, can't you take us through it? What exactly has happened for those that have been under a rock?
Sure. Well, this is something that's actually been brewing for a couple of years. So I'm guessing most people watching this already know what GameStop is. Those lovely people who are going to offer you like $1.50 for your used games and then sell it at a way higher price. Well, like most, I guess, physical retailers for things like games or any type of like audio visual entertainment, they've kind of been having a harder time as people just go straight to electronic downloads for their games. So their stocks have been dropping. And seeing that, the future of GameStop probably isn't looking very good, a lot of hedge funds started short selling their stocks. And so essentially what short selling is it's pretty much an investment that instead of hoping that a company will succeed in the future, you're hoping that its share prices drop. You're hoping essentially that it fails. So with short selling, what you do is you borrow stocks from an existing shareholder and you sell them at the current price. So maybe let's say $5 per share, in the hopes that when you do need to return those shares to the original shareholder, you can buy them back for less than you sold them for, therefore making the profit. So if you sold the shares at $5 and then in the future shares drop to $2 a share, you've made $3 profit for each share that you hold. Very, very simple concept, but it is risky. What's risky about it is that usually when you buy stocks, and you're hoping that your investment grows, really the maximum amount you can lose is however much you put into the market originally. If I buy shares at $5 a piece and then it bottoms out to essentially nothing, worse comes to worse, I've lost $5. But the problem with short selling is that there's really no end to how much money you can lose, right? Because there's no telling if the shares that you have sold actually start to do well. There's no telling how well they could do. So you could really be, at a loss for an ending amount. And that is exactly what we're seeing happening now with GameStop. So Wall Street Bets is, or it was, I'm not sure if it's still restricted, but a very popular subreddit group And eventually, what people noticed was that there were a lot of hedge funds that were short selling GameStop. So these people very smartly figured out, hang on a second, if enough of us buy GameStop stock, we can actually drive up the price. And once the price is driven up, well, the people who have done the short selling, they still need to buy those shares back. They need to return them. So you're guaranteed to have buyers, but I guess the higher the stock price is, the more that the people on Reddit who bought in will be making money, and the more the Wall Street hedge funds will be losing. So this has been a very effective strategy. And the last I saw, I think there are about $70 billion in losses. And now the SEC is saying that they might do an investigation into this, even though from everything I can see, this is all legal. This isn't insider trading. If anything, this is outsider trading. This also isn't a pump and dump scenario, since people are actually holding on to their stocks. They don't want to sell, which is just driving up the price even further. And yeah, a lot of people are seeing it as this almost like Robin Hood-esque revolution against the Wall Street fat cats. And I think it's all just hilarious, especially that is happening with GameStop stock, which is very hard to say, as I noticed when trying to film my video after many takes.
Yeah. No, but that's like the irony here. That's, yeah, you have Wall Street that are completely up in arms about this, and you have all the major players that have made some phone calls, so that apps such as Robinhood, I believe it's called, have basically stopped buying of this and a couple of other shares. You can still sell, but you can only buy in very limited quantities. And yeah, what's your take on that? That now the market instantly started putting regulations. What's that about?
Well, it's almost like the video that I did was subtitled Wall Street Strikes Back, because like you said, Robinhood, they've restricted trading on not just actually GameStop shares, but also things like AMC, because they're predicting that, and I think some people on Reddit were talking about the next company they wanted to do this for was AMC. Of course, another company that Wall Street has predicted will go under, and so was short selling. So you also, it's not just them, you also have TD Ameritrade, and I heard Charles Schwab as well. So this is actually really crooked. Now, initially when I heard about this, I wasn't exactly taking pleasure in the people who had lost money. I just thought like, well, you know, that's the risk you play when you try to do something like this. But what really got me mad is when I started to see that all of a sudden, since Wall Street is now losing money, oh, we need to start intervening and, changing the rules, essentially, because by stopping people from buying more stocks, essentially what Robinhood and other financial institutions are doing is preventing the price from increasing. And actually, I've seen unconfirmed reports on social media. I don't want to say this is a 100% sure thing, but I've even seen some people allege, and they've posted screenshots, that what Robinhood is doing is actually selling some of their shares in GameStop against their will. Which, if so, I mean, I don't know how that's legal. There's actually a class action lawsuit that I saw was launched against Robinhood. And I mean, I definitely hope there's consequences for them in trying to do this. And it's just ironic that the app's name is Robinhood, but they're clearly taking the side of, the sheriff of Nottingham, pretty much.
Yeah. Darth Heretic Place says in the comments, I was not only denied sales, I was forced to accept a refund of my original $6 a share when it hit $403 a share. If that's accurate, yeah, that seems really crooked to me. But again, I'm reminded of the adage from Las Vegas. The house always wins, and it's kind of like the little same thing with Wall Street, because my take on this is that here you had something on Reddit, which was probably very well intentioned, because there you have financial types that actually know what they're talking about, that recognized short position. We're going to try to monetize that a little bit. And then one way or the other, this got leaked out into the masses. And then someone were of the opinion, now we're going to get them. And then suddenly it spread from wildfire from there, because it takes quite a lot of buying to actually elevate the share price to this level. Like then it has to go viral. This is kind of like unprecedented, but it happened. And there's nothing illegal about it because there's no one party doing any kind of market manipulation here for an ulterior motive. On the contrary, it's a people's movement. It's something that went viral. It was a meme that simply was buying money, and there's absolutely nothing illegal about it whatsoever. If anything should be illegal is the practice of shorting. Which I can tell you from my own experience and background in finance in Norway. Many people have suggested that, you know what, this is a really shady practice. And that is something that opens up to all kinds of market manipulation. So really, we should ban shorting and only accept long positions. Or certainly not any kind of geared shorting. Of course, it hasn't happened yet because the market wouldn't stand for that because there's too many powerful people that has a lot to lose on that. And that's kind of like what I see here as well. Now is the moment when Wall Street were actually beaten by their own game. They were beaten by their own game of chess by people who don't know chess. They maybe know checkers, and that's pretty much it. And they came in and they sabotaged their plans, and it cost Wall Street billions. And you can't have that. They can't take that on the chin. Oh no, then the rules have to be changed. And to me, that's the bigger story here. Not that Wall Street lost a few billions. That's well earned. And if a hedge fund goes under, as someone that has previously worked in hedge funds, the world won't miss it.
Right, for sure. And I mean, I've even seen people start to suggest future regulations to guard against this type of thing. I've seen people suggest things like a trading tax. I've also seen what's happening right now be compared to the whole Capitol storming that happened, which is very confusing to me because, again, the people who are buying GameStop shares, they're not doing anything illegal. I just think this is the establishment system freaking out because, like you said, they've kind of been vested at their own game. Oh, also, we are seeing people who are buying GameStop shares being compared to or being called alt-right and anti-Semitic as well.
Yeah, that's amazing. So. You go and you buy share for GameStop, and suddenly you're an alt-right Yahtzee and Trump supporter and all these kinds of things just for getting GameStop shares. It's incredible how like the barriers keep on shifting. But again, that's something that's really scary to me, that they talk about, okay, we have to change the rules here. We have to go and implement regulations. And that's not to do anything against short trading. That's just so that the people can't rise up against us and we can play our games the way that we see fit. And that's how they want to add legislation to keep the pleb out.
Right. And I think it's an illustration for, I think, a lot of people of what we've already known for a long time, that the system is to an extent rigged for the people who are in control, who have connections. Because, I mean, if it was your, the average Joe's stock portfolio that was going down the toilet, do you think that, something like Robinhood would say, oh, hang on, guys, we need to rescue this guy's money?
Hell no.
Of course not. Of course not.
When you had Lehman Brothers and all of those things going under, when you had basically all of Iceland going under due to like financial acrobatics and stuff, no one cared. That was all good and well, and especially in the States where you had an administration that was all too keen to bail out people that should be put in jail. But no, not at all. But now here, they want to change the rules, which is really shady. Speaking of which, we have Tom joining us.
How is that really shady?
Now you're wearing a Spaceballs t-shirt, and people that are pro Spaceballs are always up to no good, aren't they? There goes the planet, isn't that the saying?
Yeah. Morning, everybody. How you doing? How you doing, Lauren? Good morning.
I'm good. Good morning to you. I have seen a couple people mention my lighting in the chat. If anyone knows how to adjust webcam lighting settings, I am all ears. I'm a I do not know. I'm at the mercy of what happens when I plug it in.
I would love to be of assistance there, but clearly I'm the wrong person to ask there. I have to get on with that. But yeah. And Tom, while you got in, let's go through a couple of super chats and hear what you all in the chat have to say about GameStop and everything else before we get your take on all of this, Tom. Starting us up, Straight White Mage said, "Welcome back, Lauren. How is your father feeling?"
Oh, well, thank you so much for asking. He's doing well. For people who don't know, my dad had liver cancer. He did end up going to the US to get it removed, which, a lot of people very generously helped crowdfund. So as far as we know, he's currently cancer-free. Now, our next sort of hurdle is keeping up with cancer screenings. It's supposed to be every 3 months, at least for the first little bit. But we're having trouble doing that in Canada because wait times where I live in Quebec are always super long, but especially with COVID, a lot of non-essential services have really been delayed or cut back on, which unfortunately includes cancer screening, which I don't really see as non-essential. So that's kind of what we're trying to work on. And actually, I had a little thing on my scalp, probably completely fine. I'm really fine. I'm not even really worried about it. But I had a biopsy done of that in like early December, and it's been a long time, and my results still aren't in yet. I'm guessing because of the same backlog in the system, and it's getting a little bit frustrating because again, I'm sure it's probably fine, but I would like to know for certain.
Yeah, it would be nice if if they could expand the definition a little bit of what constitutes essential.
Yes,
I should say so. And moving on, again, I'm not able to put these super chats on screen because, unfortunately, StreamYards haven't gotten on that just yet. But moving through it, Roger Haynes sent a thumbs up super sticker, so thanks for that. And Sontar, he says, in regards to this situation, our stupidity will outlast their solvency. How beautiful is that? And Dark King 616 says for $5 Australian, thank you so much. Has Andre seen the video Every Single Scandinavian Crime Drama here on YouTube? Only 36 seconds long. Go see it if you haven't. Okay, I'll do that when we're done with this. Mr. Tickletrunk sent us a little doggy super sticker, and Lord Trinan says for $10, thank you so much. Visualize it like this. Wall Street is like Smaug the dragon, guarding treasure. Short selling is the loose scale under the wing. GameStop is the black arrow. Wall Street bets is Bod the bowman. Now, that's a pretty good comparison. Lauren, how did you feel about that comparison? I thought it was a good one.
I think that's very apt and very, very well written, very well done.
Yeah. And Zenith Works says for $5, is this the only time in history that normal people held billions of dollars of debt over the elites? I think it might be. I think that's why they're so freaked out. Lauren, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I've been trying to think of any other situation that might have come close to this, and I really can't think about it. And I think what's even scarier for these people is that, I mean, the elites who hold all of this money invested in these hedge funds is that now that the cat's kind of out of the bag, there's nothing from stopping this happening again and again, as long as people, these people insist on doing things like short selling. And, if not, they at this point, they either have to kind of stop this risky behavior or accept that this could happen to them. And I mean, if it's not GameStop, then maybe it's going to be AMC. I've also seen people memeing about stuff like Blockbusters or whatever it may be, but I think this is great. And I also think it's amazing that more people, because of this, might get interested in investing, because it really is something that, especially I mean, if you're younger and you just have some savings that you're not too worried about right now, it's a great thing to get involved in because, over time you might actually be able to make some real money for yourself.
Indeed. And Christopher Tock, he has a question for you. Lauren, what do you think about people on the political right and left agreeing that what is going on with GameStop is great?
It is nice, isn't it? Like it's always so divisive, especially on places like Twitter, but this is one of the times where everyone's really coming together. But it's been so interesting to me that there are still like anyone who's really on the side of the hedge funds in this case, or on the side of Robinhood, you got to look at them and wonder, like, really, like literally AOC and Ted Cruz are on the same side and you're still siding with the hedge funds. What does that say about you? I've even seen people draw out the well, Robinhood is the private company, they can do whatever they want argument, which I think is, I mean, I don't really put much stock into that argument when it comes to things like Twitter and YouTube, but when you look at Robinhood, which is in charge of financial transactions, I think it's even more frustrating because, I mean, this is people's money that they have put into the market under the assumption that they would be in control of those shares in the future. So now not being able to exercise, buying power or selling, whatever it may be, I think I think it should count as a breach of contract. But yeah, there are those people out there who are taking the side of, I guess, Goliath.
Yeah, and on that note, Niku-san also says Robinhood TOS lets them sell customer stocks. It's under their breach security interest section. I can email you a screenshot of the section. BS.
I've seen a lot of people say they're leaving Robinhood after this, which I recommend. There are other apps if you want to trade that are out there.
Absolutely. When they do what they did and they put those kind of restrictions where they send out things like saying, you know what, we noticed that you are in the have the chance to make money here, and we're not going to stand for that, so we're shutting this down.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. If anyone out there is trading, then by all means do so, but maybe consider not using Robinhood to that end.
Right.
On that note, Valiant Renegade says, if Robinhood borrowed hundreds of millions on credit lines yesterday, margin issue is probably what happened and might be why they suspended buys. That could very well be, but it's still shady, and it's completely inexcusable because that goes against every kind of rule that everyone signed up for. And Valiant Renegade also says forced sales can occur if someone bought shares on margin and then the value drops or the buyer didn't have cash in the account when the trade settles. Yeah, that's how you get them. And Jared Wagner says for $10, funny how no one is defending Robinhood as a private platform with no obligation to treat all users and content equally. Yeah, funny how that works.
Mm-hmm.
Really funny.
I don't know. I wouldn't put it past the Wall Street Journal yet.
Yeah, well, give it time. And Gran Wasu 42 sent us a doggy super sticker, and Dark King 616 says in orc wag or some kind of scream like that. Corbett Jenkins says for $10, came for Midnight's Edge, stay for Lauren. So yeah, the audience is evidently very happy to have you here. And also Thunderstorm says the feudal lords don't like it when you tap on the glass. While Greg Marquez says, looking forward to the populist left and right to collaborate more on shared values like this instead of fighting each other. Lauren, do you think there's a chance that could happen? That left and right can actually come together over this?
I think definitely, but I think the key here is the populist left and populist right. I mean, even in the 2016 election, we saw this strange kind of alliance between scorned Bernie bros and Trump supporters. And heck, even for 2020, there was a lot of, I don't know if it's an alliance, but a mutual understanding and respect and dialogue between people who supported maybe Tulsi Gabbard or Andrew Yang and the Trump supporters. So I think there are a lot of people out there who are just frustrated with the establishment, period, whether that's on the right or the left. And this whole GameStop thing is such a nice embodiment of that, because it's not about right or left. It's about trying to take back control from the people in power, from the elites. And I hope we see more of this going forward. But the more pessimistic side of me thinks that because this whole thing has happened, now you are going to see this whole new rush of regulations going through so that it can't happen again.
Yeah, that's the scary thing, because I think that this had the potential to be a real watershed moment. And I sincerely hope that it will take time to push any kind of legislation through, because there should be no rules at all preventing this. Everything that was done here was fair play. And that those hedge funds lost billions, well, honestly, that's on them, because they took geared short positions. It's that simple. They gambled with money that they didn't have. And that's the rule in any kind of trading. Never trade more than you can afford to lose. A rule which, of course, very few people hold. And especially in cases like this, when it's kind of like seen as like basically free money with a theoretical risk, but not a practical one. So they can gear it up to the wazoo and score billions and billions on it, and very often on other people's misfortune. But in this case, it kind of backfired, and it's kind of glorious, isn't it?
Very much so. But I have seen people suggesting that for any hedge fund that's interested in short selling, what they're going to do now is just try to short sell more expensive or pricey stocks, because what kind of enabled this to happen with GameStop is that I think last year it was about $5 per share. So it was very easy for the average person to just jump on board that train. But if you were trying to short sell something that was, let's say, quite expensive now, maybe $150 a share, but you thought it would drop, you would still be able to make a profit but the price might be prohibitive enough that you wouldn't see this whole rush of people flocking to raise the price. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it absolutely makes sense. And again, that's the beauty here, that this is actually a way where everyone can make some extra spare change, because again, no one should do any kind of gearing. Gearing is the devil and stuff like this. Gearing, that's investor speak for taking a loan to invest, because that is how you earn the big bucks, but it's also how you can risk really losing the big bucks. Say, for instance, that you have $1,000, and you want to invest in something where you can earn say 20%. You can get a 20% return on investment. Wouldn't it be much more tempting if you could borrow 100,000 and then invest that, and then you get like that 20% return on investment on 100,000 instead of 1,000, and then that's what people then do, and that works great if you actually get a return on investment. But if something goes wrong and it doesn't work out as planned, then you still owe that 100,000. That's what you can lose, which is 100 times more than you have. And that's exactly what happened with Wall Street here. And failed because of the people. And someone mentioned, is this the first time in history? And HyperGyver 2 confirms for $10, thank you so much. As a historian, I can confirm that there has never been a financial revolution like this in recorded history since the creation of monetary exchange. This is history in the making. Yeah, that's what I think too. And what is more, I want to see this continue. I am that much of an anarchist that I would love to see the system burn that way.
Yeah, well, the memes have been delicious. I've loved you've had some Joker memes, like it's not about money, it's about sending a message. There are people who are saying that if they were to, sell right now, they could make a boatload of money, but they're going to keep their shares just to send a message to Wall Street, drive the price up even more. Yeah. But I did mention in my video that what the left should like about this, and we often hear kind of, I guess, more socialist types rag against the financial markets, which with good reasons in some cases, since we're seeing how corrupt it is. But I like the idea of more and more people being involved in trading, because it is a form of communal ownership, not necessarily joint or equal ownership, but this is a way for the average person to, if these companies are making all this money, to get a piece of that action, which I very much encourage if it's done responsibly, and with research behind it, and not just, like you said, gambling with money you don't have.
Yeah. No, you gamble, but gamble with money you do have, and with no more than you can afford to lose. That's the power here, because here we have a ton of people that have invested $10, $100, $200, like petty change for them. But the sum of that is actually a threat to the elites. On that note, Alexander Wilson says, Webull CEO said that the stock clearing firms blocked the trades because they didn't have the money to cover all of the GME trades. Honestly, I think that everyone who's had their shares blocked should sue, because this is patently illegal. If they didn't have the money to cover all of the trades, you know what they are then? That means they're broke. They're out of business. And they say, oh, we're just going to block the trades. What, you're going to break the rules? Could all the people who lost their businesses because of lockdowns, could they bend the rules? Or were they trapped by the system? Why should they be any less trapped? So to anyone that has seen their trades blocked, I fully encourage, sue them. What they did was illegal. Sue them for it.
As far as I know, there's a bunch of class actions or something going on against them, but yeah,
there really should be. There absolutely needs to be, because again, this is just like top-down abuse, more or less. If they're gonna like change the rules because it didn't benefit them. Tom, let's have your take on all of this.
It's fucking stupid, the whole thing. I don't understand half of it. I kind of do, but from what I understand of it, most of the hedge fund people that are going to be affected by this are not individuals who are really going to hurt in the end. And a lot of the individuals who get suckered into these hedge funds, from my understanding, as far as like for retirement and stuff like that, it doesn't sound like they really benefit them all that much anyway. So to me, I think it's about time, or it's like a situation where you have the people saying enough's enough. And then when they schooled the system got pissy. And yeah, I mean, we've reached a point here where I feel like it's, with everything that's gone on the last few years, it's about time we stand up and say enough's enough. And we can't make change happen unless we do it ourselves, because that's kind of the way this whole system works. But that's what they don't want us to know. And the longer we just kind of allow them to keep doing what they do without any kind of checks and balances, then that's where we're at. I mean, and that's the problem. Is like, for how many years have we sat there and gone, oh, the government's corrupt, this is corrupt, Wall Street's corrupt, all these things, but have done nothing about it. We've just kind of stand back and looked at it like, well, somebody else will do something. But, it's like, that's the thing, is when are we going to stand up and do something? I don't know. To me, the whole thing was pretty stupid. As far as GameStop and AMC go, let them fuckers burn. We need the less of them in the world, to be honest with you.
I agree with AMC. Let that company burn. Like,
GameStop ain't no fucking better, dude. GameStop is a fucking piece of shit.
Yeah, but you know what? And they're going to continue to be, because there's no real money for them in them. They just became a tool. They became a sledgehammer with which the thread upon can smash the establishment. And that's really all they are in this particular case. And it's kind of like glorious. And I so would love to see more of this. I hope like this starts a movement that people.
Why is GameStop even fucking open?
This is why we can fight. Again, it's not about the GameStop. They're completely coincidental.
I know, but
it might have been like Bob's Burger Shack in the street. It just happened to be that one.
Well, it matters to me what business it is.
Well, actually, incidentally, I did see a report talking about how much the owners of GameStop are worth now. Because I mean, like you said, Andre, it just so happened to be GameStop. But I mean, if they're shareholders themselves too, so if they were to cash out now, it's kind of been a golden goose for them. So maybe there's some people out there who like want to get in on the action to stick it to Wall Street, but they're also a little bit salty about being screwed over by GameStop, and they don't want them to have their share prices to go up anymore.
Well, that was kind of taken out of their hands. Those that are salty about that, the way that I see it, they have two options. One is that they can remain salty, and the other is that they can take part of the game and try to get some going for themselves as well. But yeah, I see your point there. But that's one thing that I'm curious about. What do you think that this is going to lead to? Do you think we'll see more of this? Do you think that the current administration is going to clamp down, change the rules so that none of this can ever happen again? And if so, will that annoy people, or will we just take it sitting down? Lauren?
Okay, I got to clear some up because everybody's calling me fucking clueless. I know what's going on, and I don't give a shit. Here's what's going on. Peter walks in the door, says, "You got a nice widget. Can I borrow it for a few minutes?" Takes the widget, goes to the pawn shop, pawns the widget for $50, right? Waits 3 weeks till the widget goes down in price, goes back and buys the widget for $25, takes it back to said person, puts the $25 in their pocket, says, "Here's your widget," and takes off. They got their money, right? What happened here is a bunch of people drove up the price of widgets to $500. And now the company has to pay back for those widgets. Doesn't have the $500 per widget to pay back to get it back from the pawn shop. I understand what's going on. I understand the companies that are involved are completely incidental. But to me, they're important because those two companies need to go the fuck away. AMC is too deep with China, and GameStop has done nothing but fucked their customers over for the last, 15, 20 years, whatever. And the same thing with their employees. Yeah, so like as far as that's I know they're one has nothing to do with the other, but I just don't give a shit.
I love how everyone is now an expert on the stock market.
No, so I just don't care. Like I see
it.
People calling shit at me, it's just like I just don't care.
Yeah,
yeah, Lauren, I know, but I did see this tweet the other day that just made me chuckle. It's like I've never seen anything like this happening in all of my 3 days of trading. And it's just so true. I mean, it's kind of like, whenever something happens with like Iran, then everyone becomes this expert in foreign policy and talks down at the people who aren't all in on it. And it's like, come on, guys, relax. But in terms of your question, I do think it's very likely that the current administration is going to do something to ensure that this doesn't happen again. Like I said, the SEC is already talking about doing an investigation into it. There have already been several measures that have been suggested to ensure like this rush of people buying in doesn't happen. And things like a tax on trading are exactly the kind of things that will hurt these small investors, right? The people who maybe don't have as much money to invest in the market. So I don't think things like that are a good idea, because I want power and control of the market to be more decentralized. I don't think it's healthy that, such a small portion of people have this much control over it. But I also think that if they do clamp down on things, that's just going to kind of encourage people to invest in things like cryptocurrency, which we were actually talking about before we went live. I have some mixed feelings about that. I know right now everyone seems to be running to Dogecoin, which I have been for the past week. I've been telling my husband, like, you got to get in on this. But yeah, I don't know. What do you all think about the crypto thing? Because that's, I think, kind of tied in to this, because people see it as this financial market that, the government doesn't have control over it. So maybe it could be a way to, I don't know, have a bigger stake in things without being at the mercy of Wall Street. But at the same time, the way crypto currently is, it's really more of a commodity than its original intention, which was a currency, because not a lot of places actually accept cryptocurrency.
Yeah. Tom, let's begin with you. I want to have your thoughts on Bitcoin, on Doge, and digital currencies in general. What's your feelings on it? Your complete gut reaction?
I don't know anything about them, so to me, they're a bunch of fugazi. If you tried coming to pay me with some Bitcoin, I'd be like, I don't know what the fuck that is. And no, to me, it has zero meaning. in this sense. So like, yeah, to me, if you talked about, if I picture giving you some money for some Bitcoin, you remember the episode of South Park where he's like, I take your $100 and I put it in the stock market, blah, 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 and it's gone. You know, and like, that's to me what cryptocurrency is just a bunch of people fucking with me to steal my money. I would never get into it unless that was all that was left, and I don't understand it, so I don't care. I know Larry said the same thing as before, but like, I mean, I hear cryptocurrencies and Bitcoins and stuff like that, and I'm like, but what is it? What exactly is it? I mean, is it a promissory note? Is it an actual, I don't get it, what it is. So, you know, to me, it's like I said, you're going to have to explain to me what the fuck a Bitcoin is.
Yeah. Tom, you are entirely correct. The reason that I haven't gotten fully in on the Bitcoin thing, and that so far obviously has been a mistake, but here's like the thing, that everything that you have in terms of investment is that you have the actual value and then you have a perceived value. And the way that you can make money in shares and any kind of trading is if you have reason to know that the perceived value is different from the actual value, either higher or lower, and then you can make a trade. You can like buy or sell. For instance, if you think that something is undervalued, then you want to buy it. For instance, you know that, okay, now Disney is going to deliver their financial report in a month, and you happen to know that they got a huge cash infusion from China. You know, but the rest of the world doesn't know. So the company is suddenly worth more. So then you want to buy up on Disney stocks, because you know that the price is going to skyrocket. But then there's some actual value behind there. In terms of cryptocurrency, there's no actual value behind it. That's where you are right. That's the thing that I have not been able to fully wrap my head around. To me, cryptocurrency reminds me the most of in Amsterdam, you had like this, or in the Netherlands, you had like this centuries ago, you had like all of this trade and value around tulips. The tulip trade was completely insane. They traded tulips like people right now are trading GameStop. And there was no real value behind it. It was just tulips. And at some point, people figured, and then the whole thing came crashing down. They actually made a movie about it. I forget the name of the movie, but it was a pretty decent one. It's worth watching.
That was a very Scandinavian story you just told.
Okay. Yeah, I guess it could come across like that. But yeah. But anyway, here's like the thing. I agree with you. With cryptocurrency, it only has the value that you assign to it. You all agree that this is valuable. But there is nothing of actual value there. I mean, you can't trade it for gold or anything like that.
Well, I think the thing with crypto that a lot of people, and you're right, is a lot of people don't understand that it's not like a share, right? If you buy share in GameStop, you own a part of GameStop. That's something tangible. Cryptocurrency isn't like that. It's not a commodity. It's a currency. It's a fiat currency where the fiat is given not by a government, but by people in general just agreeing that it's worth something. So I think there's the danger that people do start trying to treat it like gold or something like that, when that was never really its original intention. The intention behind cryptocurrency was that it would be something that people could trade with each other, where they wouldn't be liable to things like, let's say, income tax or, currency restrictions between countries and stuff like that. And I think that is a very good idea. I would caution against people who see it akin to investing in the stock market, though, because like you said, Andre, it's just not the same thing.
Yeah. Exactly. It's a currency. But again, it's a currency that is not guaranteed by any central bank, because with ordinary currency, either there's a gold standard, which has been removed in most places, and that was kind of a mistake. But basically, you own part of the central bank, you own part of the state, you are owed that kind of value by the central bank of the issuing nation. Whereas in cryptocurrency, it's nothing like that. So it has the value that you assign to it, and we can all mutually agree that that Doge and all of that it's the hot shit right now, and then the value skyrockets, and people are using it right now more as an investment opportunity than as a currency, which is what it was designed for. And to me, that has all the hallmarks of a bubble, and bubbles eventually burst.
Right.
But
And
it could
there's
be
someone in the chat right now saying, no, crypto is a stock. Don't treat, I don't know. Personally, I caution against treating it like a stock because it is a currency. They're not the same.
What's it? The thing is I understand what cash is, right? Like the dollar. Okay, it makes sense. What is cryptocurrency borrowing against, or what is it like actually? That's my question. That's why I said to me it's nothing but fugazi.
Yeah, and you are entirely right. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, I mean, it is a fiat currency. It's kind of like an emperor's clothes situation, right? It's value because we assign it value.
Yeah, that's exactly
kind of like internet gas.
Yeah, and to me, it has all the hallmarks of a bubble. And as I said, bubbles eventually burst. But, and here's the but I was going to say, before that bubbles burst, you have loads of fortunes being made, and you have loads of technology and everything like that. So yeah, buy on bubble is absolutely good advice. So yeah, maybe to get into it, I don't know. Just be aware that there's no real value behind it. And speaking of value behind it, we have quite a few super chats, and one good one was Nelson Cheretta that says right now, crypto is a house on sand. One bad rumor kills it. Exactly, that's what I mean. There is no actual value there. As you said, Tom, cryptocurrency is just fugazi. It's no more than what you put into it. And Greg Marquez says, people speculate on crypto like people speculate on other currencies. For central bank currency, it is only backed by more of the same currency.
That's my question is, what is it backed by exactly? Yeah.
Well, that's going to depend a little bit from currency to currency and nation to nation. There was a time when it was backed by gold, where basically what the currency meant was that you were owned. If you had like $1,000, you were owed $1,000 worth of gold, or so and so many grams of gold. Yeah. But that has been removed now, so it's not quite like that in the US. And that's part of the reason why the US is one of few nations that actually can print their way out of any debt to the point
to go brr.
Yeah, right. And then we had this one too. I can still get to, otherwise you'll have to get them, Andre.
Yeah.
Oh no, I got a couple more I can get to yet, but yeah.
Yeah. And PRRK4 Pacific says, I think a lot of Bitcoin's practical value comes from its ability to finance illicit transactions. That's where the long-term value is.
Oh,
yes,
nice.
Do not undervalue that. That is true. And also the movie that I was talking about, we have a couple of people that were able to identify it, including Natasha Cloutier. It's Tulip Fever from 2017. It's a movie that's well worth watching. And Martimos Sulmoni says for 50 Swiss francs, buying some Midnight's Edge funds. Yes,
now
that's an investment that
automatically worth 100. I don't know worth 100 of what, but there you go. I did the same thing Bitcoin does.
Indeed.
Yes, my understanding. I don't know. Okay. Straight White Mage is next here. He goes, wait. Lauren, are you and Liam married now?
Yes, we are.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, it's like, I know my mom was like, wow, doesn't like it feel different? It's like, no, we've been together for like over 4 years. So it's like, yeah. No, but it is good.
Yeah, well, we are very, very happy for you, and I do believe I speak on behalf of the entire chat when I say that. Although there may be some broken hearts in there. And moving on with some of the super chats, we have some older ones that I'm no longer able to bring up on screen, but we'll get through them as well. Let's just see where we were. Thunderstorm said, the feudal lords don't like it when you tap on the glass. I do believe we have that one. And then Mech1164 said for $10 to bring it back to the movies. It reminds me of the line from Trading Places. It occurs to me that the best way you hurt rich people is by turning them into poor people. This is very true, but I don't think there's any risk of that happening in this particular case. Tiberius Monk also says for $10, for over 30 years, Wall Street supported the almighty dollar, led by their chosen idol Gordon Gekko of the film Wall Street. Wall Street preyed on the poor, and now it's payback time. Rise proletariats. Well, here's the thing, never underestimate just how influential Gordon Gekko is. That's a character from Wall Street, the movie. I can speak from personal experience that he was meant to be not an anti-hero, but more of a villain. But every wannabe stockbroker, both then and later, saw him as the hero that they wanted to be. Well, kind of explains how things have moved on. Greg Marquez says, hedge fund / elite mantra seems to be capitalism for me, but not for thee. Indeed. And Tiberius Monk says again, hello, Lauren, Tom, and Sir Andre. Nice to see an issue that can unite the people. It was never warfare between left and right. It is class warfare. While Alpha J30 says, to the Wall Street investors upset about this, don't hate the player, hate the game. Yeah, truer words were never spoken. Alexander Wilson says, Webull CEO said the stock clearing firms blocked the trades because they didn't have the money. Yeah, we went through that one. Christopher Tock says, who put their cools out on my floor? Yeah, beats me. And Dark King 616. Oh, you like this one. He says, short sell, bad robot. Bruce Campbell was in Congo. And Spider Unlimited says, when can we expect to buy stock in Midnight's Edge? Not anytime soon. And Theodore McCarthy says, the populist left is dead. It got eaten by anti-racism in the 1960s, and it will never come back. Straight White Mage says, whatever happened to company quality production defending their stock worth? I use Stash, ACOMS, and M1 for 2 years now. Yeah, and you just gave them some free promotion, so great. Maybe some others will too. Greg Marquez says, I'm hearing that GME situation was / is increasing the risk to the US stock trading system in general due to interconnected risk and liability. Stay tuned. Yes, this is going to be exciting. And then we have who says for $10, thank you so much. Hi, Miss Chen. Hi, gents. Love Midnight's Edge in the morning. That 70s rock fan says, hedge funds are evil. I'm thinking of starting my own shrubbery fund. While Peter Hahn sent us a $2 donation with no comment, so thanks for the support. And Rob Collins, he has a message for you, Tom. Start caring, Tom. The rigged levers of society are being poked and prodded at in a huge way. Well, Valiant Renegade agrees with you completely and says, Tom for the win. It's all stupid. Greg Marquez says, on stopping trades, Interactive Brokers chairman, if our customers are unable to pay for their losses, we have to put up our own money. Yeah, and again, that's how the game is played. Those are the rules that you subscribe to, so maybe stick to them. And Peter Hahn also agrees with you, saying, lost $33K shorting Tom's hammer. And then we are close to caught up. Nels, yeah, one more. William Sova says, hey everybody, this whole situation reminds me of Dennis Hopper's character in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, tearing down the funhouse with mad glee. Yeah, it's kind of like that, or certainly it sounds like it. I can't say that I've heard about that particular movie.
You've never seen Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2?
No, I haven't seen the second one.
Wow.
Well,
Okay.
There's far worse movies than that.
No, it's actually a good movie.
But
But
yeah.
no, like, yeah, I'm surprised.
Yeah. And with that, let us shift gears a little bit and get a little bit back to more familiar shore in Star Wars. Lauren, have you followed the High Republic and all the drama surrounding that? And if so, what excites you more, the High Republic itself or the drama surrounding it?
Like most people, my knowledge of the High Republic comes not from actually buying any of the books, but from the drama surrounding it, including, I guess, everything that was going on with that. What is her name? Christine something that was going off on.
Yeah, Christina Ariel. That would be the one. Christina
Ariel. I saw that trending on Twitter. It was hashtag I stand with Christina. And, I looked into it, and I just could not believe that the people who were siding with her claimed to be standing up against racism. And actually, well, part of me did want to check out the High Republic for the lulz. But you know what? I don't know if people are actually even interested in seeing a review of it, even if it were just to make fun of how uninteresting it is. I mean, frankly, nothing about it seems to appeal to me from what I've seen. The artwork is just very bleh. Yeah, so I'm just enjoying it for the lulz, like most people, I think.
Yeah, I have to say that that's like the only good thing about it. Someone, shall we say, donated to me the first issue of the High Republic comic. The one that they bragged about had sold 200,000 copies to retailers. Of course, only to retailers, because 200,000 people did not buy that comic, I assure you. And if they did, they're going to want their money back, because it was awful in every single way. The books I have not read, but we published a video only yesterday where we went through that the status that one of them has as New York Times bestseller really only means the New York Times editorial boards like this, even though it's not necessarily backed by any kind of practical sales, which Amazon confirms that it's not. But speaking of the drama behind it, let's take things back a little bit, because since we had you on the last time, we had the finale to The Mandalorian. Did you watch The Mandalorian? What did you think about that? And what did you think about the finale to it?
So actually, what had originally happened was I canceled my Disney Plus subscription when Disney signed that deal with Colin Kaepernick. And also, like, they had come out with that whole Black is King thing. So I was like, you know what? I'm done with you, Disney. But then I actually mooch off of my brother's Hulu account, and he got this deal where he gets Hulu, I think ESPN and Disney Plus as like a package. So we have it once again. So once I heard about the finale, can I talk about the finale? Am I allowed to? Is that
Oh
spoiler?
yeah, for sure, for sure.
Yeah, okay.
It's been spoiled up and down, no end here. So go for it.
Okay, good. So I wanted to see how that happened and how they were bringing Luke back into it. So I did end up watching the second season. And I have to say, I liked the second season even better than the first. The first one, I didn't dislike it, but I didn't think that it was amazing. It was really cool seeing more of Cara Dune. I like her a lot. And yeah, I don't know. I just feel like it almost we're at the point where it doesn't feel, to me at least, like The Mandalorian and the sequel trilogy are even in the same universe anymore. Like,
Yeah,
in
right,
terms of
you
lore.
are. Yeah, they are so completely different.
Mm-hmm.
And we only a couple of days ago we had an interview with Jon Favreau. No, we didn't have, but there was an interview with Jon Favreau in which he kind of said that they're leading up to the sequel trilogy, and many people went wild with that without reading his words a little bit more carefully. Because what I read it was that, yeah, we're leading up to the sequel trilogy right until the moment when we no longer are, because there are many years between what we're doing right now and then. Implication being, at least that I read it, many things can happen in the meantime.
And not only that, it's consistent with things he said in the past where he's like, it all counts.
Yeah.
Like he's saying the EU and all the movies, all this stuff. And if you notice, like the things that they're bringing into the Mandalorian are things that, and I've noticed, people are griping, they're just ripping off stuff from the EU. It's like, exactly, you guys are not paying attention, are you? Or at least it's not really sinking in to the point where it's like, he's bringing shit back from the EU that has been discarded by KK and everybody else. So he's trying to make all the fans happy. Now, is he going to make everybody happy? Oh, hell no. But I think at least John's heart's in the right place. The motivation's there for that group of people over there. And again, whether you believe there's a Cold War going on or not, I think there's enough evidence to support it at least. It feels like that portion of the group over there is just trying to give us a good Star Wars. And that's really what it boils down to, like I said. So there we go.
Yeah. Lauren, have you been able to follow our and others' coverage detailing the civil war that's behind the scenes at Lucasfilm? Because that kind of explains the massive tonal shift between The Mandalorian in one end and the sequel trilogy and this whole High Republic initiative in the other.
So for sure.
Yeah,
and
your thoughts?
I'm definitely not in the Kennedy camp. And if I just look at what people like, I guess Jon Favreau kind of, Feige gets a lot of credit, he should, but what he was sort of able to start with Marvel, I just kind of think what could have been with the Star Wars sequel trilogy. And it kind of hurts to think about, but in the future, I do hope that they give him the reins to maybe even start another sequel trilogy or something akin to that. I don't know if that's actually going to happen because politically speaking, that would obviously look very bad for Kathleen Kennedy and all of that. But it's just been, I don't know. I remember going in to watch The Force Awakens and being very, very excited for it. And I thought it was okay. I didn't think it was amazing. And I actually held off watching The Last Jedi for like years and years and years. I only watched it right before Rise of Skywalker because I thought I, would need it to understand what was going on because I had tried watching it and it was just so spectacularly boring. I didn't even want to finish it. But no, I have hope for Star Wars going forward because of things like The Mandalorian. What I just don't understand with the whole Kennedy faction is their interest in the franchise. Clearly they're not huge fans of it. We saw, Kathleen Kennedy saying that essentially disregarding all the extended universe. Maybe it seemed like she didn't even know that it existed. Anytime I see anything happening with Star Wars trending on social media, it seems to be about ragging on Gina Carano or standing up for these social justice types that are associated with the High Republic. And it's like, does this group not actually care about Star Wars? I don't know. It's strange to me. It's confusing. And I feel bad for the Star Wars fans who are kind of just stuck in the middle of it and who just want content and to have it not be politicized. And I also feel bad for Gina Carano because I see all the time she gets kind of attacked on social media, and I just don't think she deserves it at all. Not to white knight for her, but like kind of to white knight for her a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, let's get into Gina Carano then, because you mentioned that Cara Dune was one of your favorite characters on The Mandalorian, and rightfully so, because she's awesome. There's one thing that I think cannot be stressed enough about her, because everyone in our little corner of the internet is constantly accused of being a misogynist, even the females. To the extent of which they are even recognized as counting, because not everyone agrees that Rey is the bestest ever, and thought that she just got things a little bit too easy and was able to master that whole Jedi and lightsaber thing without having to work for it any kind of way. Whereas with Cara Dune, that's obviously a kick-ass fighter, and there we have a woman playing her who really could kick the ass of the stuntmen that she is throwing around, because she's actually done that in reality, and but she hasn't submitted to the same values, let's put it that way, as all her co-stars and everyone else in Hollywood. And for that, she is, of course, being punished relentlessly on Twitter. And you have all of these calls and everything to fire her. Do you think that that can work, or is the support from our corner and from actual fans big enough that Disney knows that this can't happen?
Well, I hope it doesn't happen, and I think it would be a huge double standard if she did get removed from the series, because people make a big deal about her politics, but she hasn't even been necessarily, I would say, overtly political. I think she's kind of pushed back at cancel culture and a lot of the intersectionality, but that, we still don't know if she's a Trump supporter or a Biden supporter, and I'm okay with that. I don't think we need to know. Those are her views. Respect them either way. She doesn't need to be some online Twitter activist, despite what some people think of actors nowadays. So, I mean, if they were to kick out someone like her, but keep Kathleen Kennedy, I guess, at the helm of Lucasfilm with all of the gender politics that she plays, I think it would be a big slap in the face to not only people who actually are maybe right-wing, but even to people who just don't think that everything needs to be about social justice. So far, I think in Jon Favreau's work, I don't think we've seen him like really be as committed to like, no, all of our actors also need to be these huge activists. Although Pedro Pascal on social media, I've got to say he kind of lends himself more to that. And I think actual fans who watch the series, not just people who post about it on social media, but actual fans would be very sad to see her go.
Yeah, speaking of Pedro Pascal, he lent itself to it so much that Disney actually had to tell him to, tone it down a little bit and delete that tweet right there, thank you, which was pretty hilarious. Because, again, it only goes to show that Disney is a for-profit corporation, and you can only take it so far before it gets just too much to deal with. And we just had the Reverend Hare Krishna, aka Rob, joining us. How's it going?
Oh, it's going fantastic. How you doing? Hello, Lauren. Good to see you again. Yes.
Sorry, I was muted. Hey.
That's okay. For anybody wondering, that's a very old, obscure Muppet movie joke, the Reverend Hare Krishna. So
yes. And Drunk 3PO is flexing in the chat. I'm supposed to tell Lauren that he knows Gina.
Jealous.
Rub it in, why don't you?
Yes, Jay. We know you know Gina. We love you, Jay.
Yeah. Also, on behalf of Jay, I have to ask: did you see his interviews with the lovely Miss Carano? That would be Drunk 3PO. Did you see the interviews that he has hosted with Gina Carano, Lauren?
No, I haven't. I'll need to check them out, though.
Yeah, they actually made Fox News.
Oh, Oh, that's really cool. She follows me on Twitter, but
Oh, wow.
no, I've never like met or spoken to her though.
Oh, cool. At least she follows you. She doesn't follow me. You hear that, Jay? Get on that shit.
She doesn't follow me yet. Gina.
I'm kidding. Of course. I'm kidding. Yeah, Tom's getting it wrong. Gina's using Jay for his looks. This is probably true. And I don't get this shit. Jay, they did this whole thing of the cast of Geeks and Gamer guys in that face app, turning them all into women. How is Jay still the sexiest one as a woman? I just don't understand.
He's got good genetics there.
Yeah, must be.
I'm sure that would make him feel good this morning. So there you go, Jay. That'll help you boost your ego this morning a little bit. So
yeah.
Anyway.
Rob, since you just joined us, real quick before I get into some super chats, what are your thoughts on the whole GameStop thing? Real quick.
Well, to quote Admiral James T. Kirk in Star Trek VI, when Spock said, "They're dying. Let them die." So that's hey, they played the game. They took a chance. Listen, you play the game, you agree there's a chance you're going to lose. Okay? And they lost fair and square. It's there. They were people that everybody was playing by their rules. And I say, tough shit.
Yeah, exactly. And there, on that note, we have some super chats, and we got one from Redwood Jones, who says, for $25, thank you so much. Long-time watcher, first-time supporter. Cryptocurrency is no worse than national currency. Your national currency is backed by nothing anymore. They are traded just like Bitcoin. If you believe otherwise, you're a pleb. As I said before, carry on. Let's see here what you have to say. Lauren, let's hear you first.
Yeah, I mean, I would disagree with that because at the end of the day, like national currencies are still currencies. Even if the exchange rate is really bad, you can at least use them to buy things with that currency. The problem with Bitcoin and everyone treating it like a stock is if the value plummets and you're stuck with all this Bitcoin, since it has still not caught on as an actual currency, you can't actually use it to exchange for goods and services like you could the dollar. Even if the exchange rate of the dollar drops, you could still buy food with it, you could still buy clothes with it, but that's not the case with Bitcoin. Yeah. So it is different.
I got 500,000 Bitcoins right here in my pocket. You can have for $2 million.
Let me. Here's
what I don't know.
Well, here's the thing for me. Here's the thing for me. You go into a bank. Someone goes into a bank, says stick them up, and walks away with let's just say like $1.5 million, whatever it is. Some of that is your money. Your money is guaranteed. You get that money back. You are not responsible. Someone raids a Bitcoin exchange. Guess what? You're SOL.
Yeah, that's kind of my understanding of the situation. But I don't.
And there's been these Bitcoin exchanges like Mt. Gox, I believe, is one of them that just collapse, and people have lost everything, and there's no recourse for it. It's an unsecured cryptocurrency. It's vaporware, really.
King, I'm going to make much more. Don't worry, I'm making more right now as we speak.
Yeah, but this is what the super chat was saying. After the gold standard was removed, the U.S. central bank no longer is tied has tied the dollar to gold. Then this technically is true for the dollar as well. It has the value that is assigned to it, but there's nothing to prevent inflation or even deflation other than like market moves. It has the value that you have assigned to it. On terms of what you can use, I have to say that my local kebab shop accepts crypto bitcoins. So there's that.
Well, on the flip side of that, though, I mean, you don't have exterior forces manipulating the price of gold to inflate or devalue the dollar either. I mean, that was the whole plot of Goldfinger. Was that Ulrich Goldfinger was going to detonate a dirty bomb within Fort Knox, and then his gold would be worth a whole lot more.
Well, you do have that in currency trading, though. Not quite as elaborate as Goldfinger, but the virtual version of it, you do have very much so in currency trading. But moving on with a couple of super chats. Namco says, "Oh, by the way, no sexy kazoo man. You know, that guy from the Lost Boys. I trust someone knows what you refer to there." And
Kazoo?
drunk.
No, no. The kazoo goes away on the daytime show. No kazoo.
We know kazoo on the daytime show.
Yeah, exactly. So you keep the kazoo for later. Keep that shit on after dark.
Yeah, basically.
And Drunk 3PO says, "Oh my god, I love Lauren Chen. What a fantastic guest." Yes, and we are made sure that she'll be watching your interview with Gina Carano. How about that? But also, Lauren, let me introduce you to Lorena Creole.
Hi, Lauren.
She's one of our toxic femmes from our Monday night show.
Yeah, I've seen the streams.
Oh, so honored to finally meet you.
Yeah, you too.
Yes, and since you're not going to be here so much longer, she's kind of hopping in to help us with the rest of this morning show. But but we're glad to have you here while we are. And the Physicality channel says, "Lauren is on cam and y'all are hiding. Where's your sense of tact?" I have a face for radio, so that's my sense of tact. And she was eating, so I definitely don't want to ruin that.
Oh.
And Rob has a camera. Mine just ain't working right now. And Andre
is busy paying the electricity bill, so I need to pay that first. And then I can get
he hides and never will show his face, but he does look exactly like his little icon there. That is
yeah. And with that, Lauren, I know that you have to bow out. So with that, first I have to say thank you for joining us today. Again, it's always a pleasure to have you here. You're always welcome. Everyone follow Lauren's channels. I have posted
she has a new channel
in the
as well,
description, and you have a new one. Tell us about that.
Wow.
Yeah, so I have a new channel called Mediaholic, and it's pretty much just dedicated to pop culture stuff, movies, TV shows. So if you're more interested in stuff like the cryptocurrency or the whole GameStop situation, you can check out my main channel, which is just Lauren Chen. But on Mediaholic, the next thing we're going to be talking about is a review of, I think it's called The Little Things, that new Denzel movie that will hopefully, the review will be out tomorrow morning. But so far on there, I have a review of WandaVision, the first 3 episodes, A Little Late with Lily Singh Season 2, Run, Hide, Fight. And yeah, it's just a place to talk about, I guess, more fun stuff. I was gonna almost say like less controversial, but I don't know, like even with the Star Wars stuff, pop culture is getting pretty controversial nowadays.
Oh, it's a battleground for sure.
Yeah, and if I really wanted to rock the boat, I would go for the most like toxic community, and that is makeup.
Oh wow.
Well, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
That and knitting. I do understand the knitting community is particularly fierce as well.
Yeah, I've heard horror stories about the knitting community too. Strange things. Strange.
Yes.
But yeah, thank you guys so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure to have you. And again, check out Mediaholic. That's Lauren's new channel there. And yeah, we'll have you back again sometime soon. And one of these days, we got to have you on Toxic Femininity.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, for sure. I would love to. Have a great day, guys.
Yes, take care.
Bye.
Thank you so much, Lauren.
Take care.
Bye.
All right, bye.
All right, now
All
you're
right.
stuck with us, guys. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
At least on my behalf, anyway.
Well, we have Lorena here, so I think that people will be fine.
Yes, I was hoping to bring in some big guns. So, yes. And how are you doing today, Lorena?
Oh, I'm doing well. I'm trying not to freeze. Everyone can laugh at me because it's 26 degrees Fahrenheit here, and I'm like a lizard.
Oh shit, that's short weather.
I know. For y'all it is. But
Give me a second to translate what that means in centigrade. So.
I think it's about 15 degrees below zero.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've had to do Celsius to Fahrenheit, and I wasn't doing it for chemistry.
No, it's -3. -15 is where I'm at, and that incidentally is in Fahrenheit 59. Where no, it's not. That's 15. I said minus.
Oh, I was gonna say 59. That would be more, but
no, it's
you know
fine.
what? It's
fine.
5.
Five
Yeah,
degrees Fahrenheit
I have
in Norway right now.
I have too much Southern and Islander blood, so I'm always cold. And apparently, none of my Norwegian ancestry can save me from being cold. So.
Well, when I woke up, it was about 17 degrees Fahrenheit, which is about -8 Celsius. So over here, so it's even colder.
Mm.
The coldest I ever remember it, not to take up too much time, was -10 Fahrenheit, which is 23 degrees, -23 degrees Celsius. That's the coldest I ever remember of being around here.
I've been in weather that cold in the middle of nowhere in Pennsylvania where it did drop that low. I didn't think the temperature could, theoretically, I knew the temperature could go that low, but being out in it is completely different.
Yeah.
The coldest I have ever been in. This was not in Oslo. This was in a valley up in a mountain. Was minus 40 centigrade, which is identical to minus 40 Fahrenheit.
Oh wow!
Now that we're done with your news, let's move on to your weather.
I haven't experienced it myself, but I used to have a friend that lived in Minneapolis, and he said the coldest he ever remembers it was -27 Fahrenheit, -32 Celsius. I said to him, "What do you do? What do you do in that situation?" He goes, "You don't do anything. The car won't start. You take a day off."
That's what I get around here sometimes. So like I understand Andre's plight. Like Rob, I'm listening to you two, and I'm like, you guys are a bunch of fucking babies.
We used to get a lot more snow, but when I was a kid, but not anymore.
It's funny because the Norwegians that were fed up of Norway, they left to the States, and some of them decided, hey, this place is exactly like home. Let's stay here, and that's where Tom is.
Yeah, yep. Lewis Black has a bit like that. You're sitting at home, Sven. This is shit. I cannot live like this. It's cold every night. I must find a new land, and they keep going. Perfect, just as cold.
Exactly. Yes. Oh shit. Anyway,
but yeah, weather aside, Lorena, we've spoke with Lauren about the whole GameStop business. So we went through exactly what has happened. What's your take on it, and what do you think is going to happen from it?
I haven't caught up as much with what's going on with GameStop, the details. When I worked in financial services for a while, mostly in software development, I was aware of what shorting a stock was. I didn't understand everything around it, but I knew that there were very strict rules, supposedly, in place to have that done. From what I can see, you have, I call them little people. We'll just call them, little people like we are, doing the same things that Wall Street has been doing since the dawn of time with the stock market. And I find it very interesting that they're trying to stop, us regular people from doing the same very thing that they have been doing for the longest time. And I think what some people forget is that gone are the days when you'd have physical traders like out, on the trading floor. You've got electronic exchanges. You have computer algorithms where their sole job is to pick stocks and trade stocks, in nanoseconds.
Yeah, that's what the robots do. They would probably be the ones that you help develop, or your colleagues, if nothing else. And they're like purely automatic. All they look at is that you put in like a standard deviation, you put in like a risk and a buy and sell interval, and then they act fully automated between the two. And they beat the hell out of most brokers, to be honest.
Yeah.
But in this particular case, no, it's that here you had the ordinary people that basically just caught on a movement in such numbers that it actually sabotaged a planned short sale. And this was something that not all, but large parts of Wall Street were fully behind. That thing is going to go down, and we're going to short it, and we're going to make a little fortune of it. And then came all of the random people that thought this was hilarious, and they started buying up stock to such an extent that the price actually rose. And with that, so did Wall Street's losses, which is kind of like glorious. You think about it a little bit.
I thought it was a typo when I saw GameStop was trading at $200 a share. I'm like, how the frick did that happen? And that's when I started hearing about the story. I'm just like, $200. Who's paying $200 a share for GameStop?
So yeah, and the question, of course, is how high can it go before it starts dropping? And it will, because there's no real value there. It's still the same old GameStop that I know Tom at least wants to see go down in flames. Now I have no personal experience with that, but
well, we talked about it last night. I mean, again, I know that the business itself is incidental to the situation, but like I said, I mean, you know, I would be all for a GameStop that was owned by fans, because then maybe they could actually turn it into a decent fucking place.
Yeah, because you get sick and tired of going there and you try to trade in your games and they're just like, maybe we'll give you $1 for it or $2.
Well, it's not even just that. Like, you just type in GameStop nightmare stories and shit like that on YouTube, and you can get hundreds of people who used to work at GameStop or who uncover all this crap about GameStop and their practices and stuff like that. Yeah, it's just the way they treat their employees and stuff like that is just bullshit.
I have my own, well, not nightmare, but I've had a couple bad experiences with GameStop. I bought a brand new PS2 game back in the days when there were PS2 games, and it was sealed, and I opened it up and there were greasy fingerprints on it. And I said, "Hey guys," I brought it back. "Hey guys, what's the deal here? You know, I paid for a price for a new game, and obviously someone's handled this." "Oh yeah, sometimes we take them off the shelf and we use them." I'm like, "Then it's not new anymore, is it?" They gave me a new one, but
no, I know they love doing that, and that's you know why they do that, Rob? Is so you can't return it for full price. That's why. But like my question was originally, like, what happened was, like, they got a bunch of bailout money, so then they were going to try and do a pump and dump, and then people figured it out and they went in and fucked with them, or what was going on was my question at first. But I kind of have an idea now.
There was no bailout. It was simply a matter of someone saw that a bunch of brokerages had gone into short positions on GameSpot or whatever they're called.
GameStop.
GameStop. Yeah, thank you. I knew that came out wrong. But anyway, and then they figured, they're shorting. They must be knowing something that we don't. And I think that then it started, well, let's get in on that. Let's buy some things there too. And maybe I haven't read the thread yet. Maybe it started out with, they know something, so let's all join and let's all short too. But then at some point, whether it started that way or not, it became, let's screw them. And it was at that point that everyone started, like, buying a few dollars here, $100 there, $200 there. But when you have thousands upon thousands of people doing that, price goes up. And that's perfectly fine for those that bought to only to sell at a lower price or that basically, like, sold only to rebuy at a lower price, provided that you hadn't geared it, meaning that you hadn't borrowed any money to do it at massive scale. But that's what the hedge funds had done. And of course, that means that their losses suddenly became astronomical. They lost more money than they had. And I know at least one hedge fund went out of business that way, and they won't be missed. Because honestly, no hedge fund will ever be, and I say that as someone with a background in finance. But again, this is something that had all of Wall Street spooked, because this isn't supposed to happen. This was like, the people doing something unprecedented. They went in and they sabotaged a planned short thing. That thing was supposed to go down. This wasn't in the script.
They got a bloody nose, and now they're crying foul. Is what it
is. Pretty much.
Yeah. Hey, you're not the real finance guys. Only we're supposed to be making money on this deal.
Why am I getting flashbacks from Trading Places for some reason?
Well, I was just going to say,
it sounds a lot like it. Yeah.
Funnily enough, I was just going to say, Lorena,
it's just like it.
One of the good things I've seen out of this whole thing is people are talking about Trading Places again.
Yeah.
So. well, but the thing is, though, it took me a long time to figure out Trading Places. Okay, Duke and Duke was buying up the OJ, and then when the crop report, because it's a physical product, and they were waiting for the crop report.
Yeah.
And then they were selling, and the way I understood it was that Dan Aykroyd and Eddie Murphy were selling their shares at a higher price. They were selling their shares because everyone was like, oh, they're buying it up, selling at 142, 140, and they were selling. And then they bought them all back for a lower price when it tanked. When the crop report came, like, oh, it hasn't affected. That means the supply is going to be unaffected. The price isn't going to be high. And so they bought them back. And so they had amassed all this money, all this wealth, and they still had their stock of orange juice. That's the way I understood it. I'm like, but the whole thing is like, we're borrowing. The way I understood this GameStop thing is I'm borrowing a car to sell somebody, but I don't actually own the car.
Right.
I'm promising to buy it and then sell it.
Yeah, I explained it earlier.
How is that legal?
I know, that's the way I explained it earlier, kind of too.
Well, I can tell you it's legal because there's so much money to be made from it. That's why it's legal.
Yeah, and then
you have and it's so much money for the right people to be made from it, from the friends and partners and special interests, all of those that basically are the donor groups.
Yeah,
there's some administrations who are very, very friendly with Wall Street and those donor groups and tend to get their way.
Yeah, the Goldman Sachs and those guys. Yeah,
they are the ones typically paying consultancy fees and stuff like that for like certain political favors. And they are also the ones that have made sure that shorting remains very, very legal, because they would stand to lose so much money if, or no, they wouldn't actually lose anything, but it would be such a source of revenue removed if shorting was to be made illegal.
Shorting's illegal now. What am I going to do for money? Well, GameStop's taking trade-ins. You might want to sell your games.
That's funny.
Yeah. So hilarious stuff. But it'll be very interesting to see exactly how that's going to play out, because
Robert,
those same special interest groups that have fought to keep shorting legal, when common sense, as you say, Rob, says that it really shouldn't be. Yeah. They are right now demanding that changes be made one way or the other, so that the people can't go in and sabotage their short-changing operations.
Yeah, you know what? For all the talk of a free market, the free market, this is the free market at work, okay?
Yes.
Really?
It entirely is.
Yeah, this is the free market. Who the fuck is calling me? I gotta take that. I'll be right back. This is my ringtone. Meet George Jetson. All right, I'll be right back.
Yeah, that's all right. Anyway, yes, but exactly, nothing illegal happened here. This is absolutely the free market, and if anything is illegal, or it should be any kind of attempt at curtailing the free market, because yeah.
I'm sorry, Andre, I didn't mean to interrupt you. And that's the issue that people were having, or probably still are having, with the Robinhood app, and I think with a couple of other apps. When they wanted to buy or sell, the app was preventing them from doing that. And in some of the cases, I think they were selling the stocks for them.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. We had a few people in our comments saying that first and foremost, they weren't allowed to buy anymore, and when they tried to sell and get like the huge profit that they should be getting, they didn't get that. Instead, what they got was the initial buy refunded, and that is illegal. That doesn't work. If you were to do a gamble or something, if you were to like buy some kind of share and suddenly it backfired and you lose your entire investment, you can't go and say, "Oh, you know, that didn't work out, so I'd like to undo this whole thing and get my money back, please." You try that with one of these investment firms and see how much they laugh in your face, because it doesn't work like that. But for the Robinhood app, then suddenly that's exactly how it worked when you were the one that had won the money. So I sincerely encourage everyone that if you are using that Robinhood app, then maybe you should consider not doing so, because they just showed that if you win something that they don't want you to win, they're not going to let you get your the earnings which are rightfully yours.
Well, the thing I do care about, because I did say I don't care. What this does is expose the shitty system.
Exactly.
And that's what I do enjoy about this whole thing. And that's what I've been saying for the longest time too. And I've been bringing up Trading Places before this went down with the whole Christina Ariel and Justina Ireland situation, with the whole business of how, we view racism right now in America compared to what it really was like for so many years. And now we're in this spot, and the movie's poignant for this situation now too. So there you go.
Yeah.
And like I said, because they both intertwine, and that is my point is that we don't have a racism problem so much in America as we just do a class problem. And that's what I think everybody forgot.
There's what was the expression? George Carlin said that there's a big club out there, and you ain't in it.
You ain't in it.
You ain't in it.
You and me, we ain't invited to the table.
Yeah, indeed. We have a couple of more super chats to go through, but before then, Lorena, how much longer do we have you for?
About 5 minutes.
Okay, I'll run through some super chats. Then we'll see what.
Because we actually have some numbers on Wonder Woman. I'm trying to figure out the maths.
Do you have the maths, or do you want to work on that while I run some super chats?
I was seeing if Rob could help me in the or somebody here in the private chat.
Well, then I'll run through some super chats in the meantime. Nick Nero says, "Remember the movie Arthur? Love the elitist tears." Well, Valiant Renegade says, "Andre, bingo on the Favreau comments," in reference to our earlier Star Wars comments. Well, Film Lars sent us 200 Danish krona. Tusen takk. "Hail, good people. Thanks for an awesome show. What are your plans for the weekend? I'm going to watch 80s movies and play Dungeons and Dragons with the nerds." Right now, what are your plans for the weekend?
Besides cleaning my house, like I usually have to do every weekend, just finding some movies I want to watch that I haven't seen. Probably watching WandaVision for the 4th time, because there's always something.
No spoilers, because I haven't seen the next
No,
episode yet.
I haven't seen it either.
I liked it.
I will not spoil it, because if somebody spoiled it for me, I'd have to kick their ass, because I do not want to spoil that.
Oh.
Another thing that I am doing this weekend, and I want to get this out there, I'm actually having a special airing of my lunch table show. It's actually going to be a brunch time show. It's going to be on Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern. And my guest is going to be Drunk 3PO. And we're actually interviewing him about the charity he's going to be, having a charity stream later on in February about for Human Trafficking Awareness Month. So a portion of any super chats that are done during that stream on my channel, we're donating to that charity. So
Junk 3PO just exists to make the rest of us look bad, doesn't he?
He tries, but I'm prettier than he is.
I dare I say this weekend, I want to make a recommendation. I rarely do this. The new Alan Tudyk series, Resident Alien. I watched it last night. It is extraordinarily good. It is very, very good. I highly recommend it. I don't know if anyone's heard of this yet, but I'm trying to turn it. No, you haven't. But I'm trying to turn as many people onto it as I can so that this thing gets another season. And the best part is, it is J.J. Abrams / Bad Robot free. It is done by a guy named Mike Sheridan, who worked on Family Guy with Seth MacFarlane. Wow. And so it brings sort of a lot of that sensibilities to it. I mean, the alien, he's stranded on Earth. He's trying to pass for human, and just hilarity ensues. I mean, it is very good. It is like an hour-long drama. It's on the Sci-Fi Channel. You can find it online. Very good.
Now I'm confused. You said it was a drama, and then you said it was hilarious, which is.
But it's a quote-unquote dramedy. It's a drama.
Oh,
yeah,
fancy.
Fancy. Yes.
Okay. But I like that you said Bad Robot J.J. Abrams free. That
yes. That was one. I'm like, Mike Sheridan. What's he done? Oh, Family Guy. He's worked with Seth MacFarlane. Okay. And then I watched, like, does it have any association? I'm on IMDb. Does it have any association with J.J. Abrams? No. Good. I was like,
It's hilarious when that is becoming like a selling point. So what do you have on your resume? Well, I don't have Bad Robot and J.J. Abrams were hired.
Joel Reese, so it's a live action Roger from American Dad. Kinda, except without the effeminate Paul Lynde voice. Hey there, everybody! I heard there's been an incident here.
Yeah. Well, anyway, with that, everyone is then aware of your plans, and also to check out your stream this weekend, and also where can people find you on both on social media and on YouTube for those that may not already be aware.
Well, you can find me on Twitter with the handle Lorena Creole. You can also find me on YouTube with the same handle, Lorena Creole. You can also find me on Minds and on Instagram, all under Lorena Creole.
And on top of that, they can find you on Midnight's Edge's very own Toxic Femininity every Monday.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
With that, thanks for joining us, because I know that you had to be leaving right about now.
Yeah. I got to get back to my work email, which is probably screaming at me right now. But, you know, if you guys drop an invite, I got to drop in at least for a little while to say hi.
Well,
I
really
thought you'd like
appreciate
to meet
that.
Lauren too. So,
Yes, I was very
thank
excited
you for
to
hopping
hear
in. We appreciate it. But yeah, before we do go here, we got a couple more super chats to get through, I think. Or
Yes, we do.
Take care, Lorena.
Take care.
And we also are going to cover this Wonder Woman news as well.
Yes, we do have a couple of super chats. And Ironcaster says, "Money to keep the koalas watered."
They don't. They have no fucks to give, though.
Yeah.
They don't care if it's raining or not.
Yeah. And Master Clockwork says, "Oh, I forgot to say to film Lush. And as for my weekend, I'll be going skiing, and then going skiing with the family, and then it's creating more content for all of you guys."
I guess I'll be working all weekend. Yeah.
Yeah, we have a big video that needs to be out pretty soon, and some small ones. So
I have no idea
plans.
what I'm doing right now because he sent me instructions with no timestamps. But
yeah. And Master Clockwork says, "The integration of old canon is a very Filoni move. Rebels had a lot of lore from the old Republic sprinkled in throughout the series." While the gay rascal says, "Listen to Natasha and hit like, you bigots."
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. And Silver Nova said, "For $10 Australian, thank you so much. It bewilders me that Star Wars, the IP that I have loved since '79 and used to be for everyone, is now used by some as a platform for political shills and creators who seem to dislike older fans." Now, that's pretty incredible, isn't it? But that's where we are. Whereas Matthew says, "I've avoided news since Supreme Leader," the one in the White House right now, "rose to dictatorial power. Pop culture is truly where the fight for the next gen's mind is at." Yeah, you're not entirely wrong. And Adam Wofford says, "It's just as cold, but it's not as far north as our old home. But damn, it's so freaking hot in summer. And why does it rain for almost a month?" Yeah, well, places be like that, I guess. And Morgan King, he sent us 2 super chats of $5 Canadian each, saying in one, "It is -12, feeling like it's -17 centigrade where I'm at." Well, that's wind and air humidity for you. And then he says, "Earlier this week, it feels like -23. Brett Cohen says, for $5 Australian, "Capitalism works, but the new corporate capitalism doesn't, apart from the 1% it should show the flaws in its current system." The gay rascal says, "Pennywise, we all short down here." Yes, Pennywise says that. We all short down here. That's a good one. And Roof Korean says, Wall Street has been the architect of our divisiveness. 2020 unrest and politics was funded by Wall Street. People are taking revenge and exposing them. And good on them.
Again, like George Carlin said, they'll divide us on any other issue we have: class, race, creed, religion, sexual preference. To keep us fighting with each other while they keep running off to the bank with all the money.
Pretty much. And then we got thumbs up super stickers from both Tax Shark and Mitch Thibault. And Adam Wofford says for $10, Wall Street unemployed are going to wonder how they're going to make it. We all say to them, you could always learn how to code. I also heard GameSpot is hiring, so there you go. And Peter Hahn says, Trading Places is better than Ghostbusters 84.
I don't know about that, but
with the Taker 610 saying, the Robin You app. This app also caused a suicide. I would not be surprised. There's plenty suicides in the world of finance and all things related to it. So yeah, that does not surprise me. And with that, we're actually caught up. So Tom, you have these Wonder Woman numbers.
Yeah, I guess we finally have an idea. According to the new Nielsen streaming numbers, because now I don't know if you know this or not, but Nielsen has started doing the streaming numbers, and we've got some numbers for the week of Christmas, which would be December 21st to the 27th. And according to this, roughly 15 million people tuned into Wonder Woman. And it took the top spot for the Nielsen ratings for that week, right above Soul. And The Office came in third. Like everybody gives a shit about The Office, evidently, all of a sudden. Yeah, I was trying to do the maths on how much money that would actually be brought in, but I couldn't figure out every bit of it. But the best I could come up with is, let's go by ticket sales, right? Because basically HBO Max costs $15, which is about the same as a ticket sale.
Well, it's what's tickets? That's about $15 is a ticket in around your area.
Well, that's just the average. The average in America is about, I think, $12 and something or whatever.
Okay.
But after you figure whatever, and I tried to find a movie that was close. I found the amount of. I tried to find a list of amount of tickets sold as opposed to box office, and the newest movie on there that I could find, believe it or not, was not Star Wars. But Bohemian Rhapsody, which made almost $900 million, and according to that, they had sold 80 million tickets. So I rounded it up to 1 billion, and so let's say that's 90 million tickets roughly. So yeah, and basically Wonder Woman didn't even make a patch on that then. In other words, in revenue, that would be somewhere like maybe $100 million. I'm thinking 115.
Well, I'm just 12 times 15 is about 180 million.
Okay, so I was pretty damn close. Yeah. So needless to say, I wouldn't say Wonder Woman would be a hit.
And that's for the entire week. That's not a weekend's box office. That's the entire week, right?
Yeah. That's the entire week.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming, probably that many people watched it also for the next 30 days. We'll find out more as we go along, but I doubt another 15 million people watch the next week is my point. And if 15 million people, and I doubt 15 million people also signed up for HBO Max just because of Wonder Woman as well. So that's not a lot of people to watch it. That's not very good at all. That's like less than a TV show sometimes.
Yeah.
Like that's less than like Cobra Kai numbers, I bet, when those come out the week after this.
Oh, I'm sure they better be. But because here's like the thing, I remember
Cobra Kai had like 40 million people watch it that first week.
Yeah, because I remember we were like about to do a live stream or something, and this time, and we were like wondering, is anyone going to be watching us now, or is everyone at home watching Wonder Woman? Well, evidently they weren't, and we had a pretty good audience in that stream, which only goes to show that the interest maybe wasn't there so much. And I think that if that movie had opened in theaters under like the old circumstances that we can now look back upon, like as what we once called normal, if we if it had opened to that, or in that situation, it would have opened big, and it would have tanked so badly in its second weekend, because that was not a good movie, was it? I haven't heard a single person that liked it.
I've heard a few people say it's not that bad. I've heard a few people say that, you know, they like certain things in it, but yeah, I've not run across anybody yet who actually loves it. And even the DC fanboys are having a hard time sticking up for it. It's just, like I said, the way I describe it best when everybody's like, yeah, that's true, is it's as bad as it's worse than a Saturday morning cartoon plot.
Yeah, it feels like a kid's movie.
Worse though, like that's what I'm saying. Like they wouldn't. I don't even see this. I don't even think they would use this as a plot for like a Super Friends episode. Like that's how bad it is.
I think that you probably could learn that you surely must have multiple Super Friends episodes, which I granted I've never watched, but I'm sure there must be some that where you could have taken that episode and just adapted it, and you would have gotten a better movie.
Probably. I mean, basically, I'm sure you know what the Super Friends is. I mean,
yeah. I know. I know
so, like,
this. I know my theory. I just haven't seen it.
And I mean, yeah, it's very kid oriented. It's very simplified, but I mean, this story is just like you look at it and you're like, how the fuck do we go from the first film to this? And I mean, I know how. I mean, the question's kind of rhetorical, but I mean, I just don't see how they let this go through. And then, of course, the other latest thing coming out is no surprise. There was, I guess, a test screening for Suicide Squad. I heard a rumor about, and everybody's confused because it's not a sequel to the original. I'm like, duh. It's like, did you not get the memo? You know, like,
so you basically had a screening full of people that thought they were watching a direct sequel
to a movie that didn't have a number 2 after it. Yeah. But no, I get it. It's the confusion. And here's where we're going to start to see the cross-based confusion of, wait a minute, you know, that character's the same actor, but they're not playing the same character, basically. Because you're going to run into the same thing with Suicide Squad. There's like, what, 3 people in it that were in the original playing the same characters, but they're not technically the same characters almost. Boomerang, Harley Quinn, and who else is in it? What's her face?
The original or the new one?
In the new one, from the original, the same people are in it.
Okay, I have no idea.
Margot Robbie and the guy who plays Boomerang, and the guy and what the hell's the name of the head of the main chick? Amanda Waller. Yeah.
Viola Davis, yeah.
Yeah, I think she's coming back too. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it seems people in the chat are getting. I couldn't remember her damn name.
You know what's so funny with Boomerang in the first movie? He's completely useless in the entire plot of that movie. He's just there along for the ride, but he literally doesn't do a single thing in the entire movie.
I know, and he's the best character.
Being there. Yeah, that's what I mean. He's the best character, and he's just there along for the ride. He doesn't do a single freaking thing for the plot or in a single scene, and he's literally just there. He's like some extra that's like following them around.
But we did get a first look at that in that trailer from the other day, so that was kind of cool.
I look forward to the movie. That's going to be cool.
Yeah, I think the movie's going to be good. And I knew it wasn't going to be. I knew they were getting away from, and that's what we were trying to tell everybody for the longest time, was they're going to distance themselves from the DCEU, at least in a sense of it, all the stuff that came before it. And that's what we tried telling everybody before, is that, you know, Aquaman was kind of a soft reboot. Shazam was pretty much almost a soft reboot.
Yeah, and
Wonder Woman 84 was pretty much a soft reboot.
And all of those movies, they were greenlit by the Johnson-Berg regime, and this was their mandate was to distance themselves from everything that Snyder did and take it in a more standalone direction. But what's going to happen forward? Well, that's going to depend a lot on the Snyder Cut and how that is received when it is released on I believe it was the 18th.
They just announced it today, yes, March 18th, and they also released a poster as well. And Rob, what the hell did it drop?
Well, I think we're better off not knowing.
I don't think Rob realizes that he's...
What?
Oh, there you
I I had to get up a second, to get something.
I was say you're making a shit ton of noise and you didn't realize.
Sorry, I knocked something over.
That's what it sounded like.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
No, it's all good. But yeah, so we got that this morning. Let me see if I can bring up that thing here, if I can find it here. Some people were asking for our reaction to it. I was just like, yeah, it's a Snyder Cut poster.
We'll have a video coming about that very, very soon, though, because you have like some cool things happening. You have the Snyder thing, and then so we'll do a video about that. Plus, we now have confirmed one of our 2 new John Constantines.
Yeah, I heard. What's his face? Taron Egerton.
Yes, Taron Egerton from Kingsman is the new John Constantine in the Netflix original series Sandman, based on the Neil Gaiman series. I do believe it's pronounced Gaiman, although I've always tried to prevent myself from saying that, but that apparently is how he wants it said, so who am I to argue?
And okay. That's the poster.
Yeah. Well, very, very cool. I do hope that the movie will be satisfactory to everyone that really wanted the Snyder Cut, even myself. I actually look a little bit forward to this one. I look forward to seeing what they're gonna do here. So I hope it will be entertaining and better than Batman v Superman. But I do think that that's the benchmark of what people should expect. I mean, look at Batman v Superman, the ultimate cut, and this probably is going to be more like that. So don't anyone expect anything like revolutionary or something that the movie just can't live up to.
I just wonder if the movie is like that. It just makes me wonder why they changed it from the 4-part miniseries to the movie. It's just, I don't know.
Yeah, because the way I see it, there's one of two things that can happen there. Either they try to split it into 4 episodes, and they decided that, you know what, this ain't working. This just isn't good enough. We can't spread this over 4 weeks, because it'll be 4 weeks of ridicule. So we're going to have this thing in one go. We're going to take the beating, and then we'll move on, and then we have Godzilla versus Kong, and it'll all be fine again. Either that happened, or they tried to split it into 4 pieces, and then Zack Snyder said, no, this won't do. This completely destroys the pacing. And when the pacing is destroyed, the movie is destroyed. So it has to be in one huge 4-hour block. And then they said, okay, we invested 80 million into this. We're not going to screw this over just for that. I hope that is what happened. I hope it's that.
The only other
thing it might have been the first.
The only other thing I could see is, and this is a maybe, because they announced the Blu-ray like 2 weeks ago. So it is coming out on Blu-ray as well. And I think it's coming out theatrically in some places. And I'm sure in other parts of the world that don't have HBO Max, they're going to have to come up with whatever they can there. The only other thing I can think of is they knew that since this thing was not going to be, contained to HBO Max, the piracy issue, I was thinking that just last night. I'm like, I wonder if maybe that's why, because the damn thing is going to end up getting online as soon as it's wherever else. And then if the whole movie's online, why are people going to bother watching all 4 parts when they can just go get the whole movie right away?
That's also a point. So there are ways that it doesn't have to be bad news. We can still be in for a treat here. I certainly hope that is one of those things. I really do.
Yeah, that was me with a wishful thinking, like, oh, maybe it is good. And maybe they just kind of looked at it as, well, we're going to get screwed if we do it the other way. That could very well be. But no, and Fat Man, Toe 786 says hashtag Fat Man. You finally got to see Fat Man, Andre. Rob, you haven't seen it yet, though, have you? And
no, I have not.
Yeah. But I have, and I think it was awesome.
Well, I'm going to be giving away a digital copy of the film at some point. I haven't figured out how yet, so stay tuned for that.
Do we need to do Win Tom's stuff again?
Maybe, but I still haven't even gotten the other stuff out yet. It's all packed in a box somewhere. But anyhow, yeah, that is a little easier though, because I can just send somebody a picture of the the code, so or send them the code. So yeah, it's a little different. But yeah, so I'll be giving that away at some point. But you still have to see it. So
Yeah. But yeah, it's a movie that I highly recommend.
absolutely, great film.
Yeah. Another great film, as we mentioned in a video from a couple of days ago, is Tucker and Dale versus Evil. It's now 10 years old, but if you haven't seen it, do yourself a favor and watch it. I at least think it's brilliant. But yeah, that's me. And I do think that it should be screened for everyone working at Lucasfilm, especially in the Kennedy faction. And we have a couple of more super chats to go through before we call it the day. ActionCom says, you know what you witnessed? Another gatekeeper falling to the internet. First, it was the media, then the movies, then politics, and now Wall Street. And Christopher Tock says, Merry New Year, beef jerky time. While El Punk Tres sends us a devil-faced super sticker. And Take Your 610 says, Andre is jealous he can't lasso a bullet in flight. Okay.
Like Wonder Woman can.
Oh, right. She can do that. Okay.
And Happy New Year! Beef jerky time. That's from Trading Places.
Beef chicken time.
Oh, yeah. I have to rewatch that movie. And Stephanie Yanisek Smuggler's Cantina just said, Fat Man is now in my top 10 movies. Love it. Yes, it is so good. It is so, so good. It absolutely is.
I don't know about my favorite movie from last year, but it's definitely one of the best.
Well, of movies that I saw last year, it's I don't know exactly how high it is, but it's up there. It's absolutely up there. There were some good movies to come out last year. Most of them I didn't even see within that year, but some good ones. Absolutely.
But considering we didn't get a whole hell of a lot, yeah.
Considering many of this year's, or rather last year's movies will be getting this year and the year after that, then yeah.
And Rough Korean is bound for the gulag, says, any indication on when victim advertising started? That's a good question. Huh.
I think that that we first saw that it first begun with Josh Trank's Fantastic Four, because I remember then it was something brand new. It hadn't kind of like happened before. It was unprecedented how they started like, you don't like this movie because you don't like Michael B. Jordan. And how that was the narrative that everyone went with. And like other people, they fully bought into it because you hadn't seen that kind of misdirection and false accusations from the movie hype machine before. I don't think that it had happened before. I think that was the very first time was Fantastic Four. Because when Midnight's Edge started around that time, and we wanted to get into like behind the scenes politics eventually, but when the channel started, it actually was a channel devoted to the darker side of comics, hence the name Midnight's Edge, which, if anyone wondered, has nothing to do with movies, productions, or anything like that. No, it's about the darker side of comics. It's a name that's derived from Marvel's Midnight Suns and Marvel Edge, which were the precursors to Marvel Max and like the Dark Knights. That's what I was looking for. So yeah, it was like basically the two lines precursing to that. And that's how we arrived at the name, because the channel was originally meant to be about the darker side of comics, like the Punisher, Daredevil, Judge Dredd. And then the Fantastic Four happened within like 2 weeks of the channel existing, and then we changed a little bit and we got into behind the scenes production and stuff. So yeah, that was kind of what motivated it.
Yeah, and what's funny about the whole fan four stick thing is they called us a bunch of istophobes over that business, even though I don't remember saying anything about it. But then basically we come to find out later that I was pretty much right. They wouldn't allow Sue Storm to be black because they didn't want a mixed race couple as the lead.
Yeah. So go figure. So for that reason, so that way you had like a brother and sister couple of mixed race. So then they had to make her adopted from the former Republic of Yugoslavia, and I don't think that any children got adopted anywhere else from the former Republic of Yugoslavia. But yeah. And then of course it was Ghostbusters 2016, and that's where it went full force, and that kind of like wrote
a little bit with
for everything
Force
else.
Awakens before that, because that was where I noticed it too. Because you know, I didn't hate the film, but I also pointed out, like a lot of people, that Rey was a bit of a Mary Sue. And unless they give us a good reason as to why she's got all these powers, well, then, oh, you're just a misogynist. Luke was a Mary Sue too. Well, no, wait, hold on. And then that's where, and then of course the last, like you said, Ghostbusters and the Last Jedi, then it was just basically.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I think that those things were like where it really, really started. But yeah, you had some of it in The Force Awakens as well. But it wasn't nearly as bad because people were hyped for that movie.
Right.
Whereas with Fant Forstick, I will get it right, and Paul Feig's Ghostbusters, there was heavy pushback. And since there was pushback, they had to kind of like find a way to discredit that pushback.
There was a little bit during TMNT as well, which would predate, or about, well, that wouldn't predate Fan Four Stick, but it would predate Ghostbusters. Because I remember leaving or getting booted out of a bunch of TMNT groups for bitching about how they crammed April O'Neil into every nook and cranny they could, and they were saying the same kind of shit. Oh, you're just a misogynist. It's like, no, I just don't understand why they had to do this. So there was a little bit of that there too, and a lot of that also came. Well, and that was where the first time I heard a whole lot of the, you just can't accept the new. You can't accept the new. You just want it to be like the old stupid goofy Turtles forever. And it's like, no, the 1990 movie was more serious than this shit. It's like, and yeah, if you want to get on the looks and all that kind of stuff, that's a totally different argument. But that's where I started hearing that kind of crap. Oh, you're just old. You just don't like the new stuff because you're old. That's the kind of shit I heard. Which is funny because you actually like the second Ninja Turtle movie, Andre, and we got to talk about that.
Yeah, I was about to say. I was like thinking, is this the right to say that? Time to say that?
No, it is not. Because
with watching the second one.
The second one's even worse than the first one.
So yeah, but no, actually, maybe if I rewatch it now, I would have a completely different reaction. But when I saw the second one in theaters, I actually had fun with it. Although I do wish that Bebop had laid off the cheeseburgers a little bit.
Well, yeah, see, Bebop and Rocksteady weren't that bad. But that was just basically like
they were what saved the whole movie.
Putting a ribbon on a pig that was already covered in shit. Like they had to start from scratch to fix that shit. And then they even fucked up Bebop and Rocksteady because, they're turning into a warthog and a rhinoceros because that's their fucking spirit animal bullshit.
Yeah, that was dumb.
And they've adopted that crap into the comics and crap now, which has really pissed me off.
Oh, that was a shame.
Because that's the only thing that's in that TMNT meets Batman story that pisses me off. Otherwise, that is one of the best Batman TMNT stories we've gotten in a long time from either IP as far as I'm concerned. Because that's the only bit. There's one bit in there where they have the whole spirit animal bullshit. But that's just like one of the minorest things in the story. But yeah, that's something that's bothered me. It's like, it's pretty sad when the 80s cartoon at least went to the extreme of, showing the rhinoceros and the warthog getting fucking kidnapped from the zoo and all that kind of stuff to make sense out of it. Like, that movie just drove me nuts. That was almost as bad as the adrenaline button in the first movie.
Yeah, the first one was just sad. But
God.
the second one had its moments. I was very disappointed by by the Technodrome, though, that it was like assembled piece by piece. We didn't get to see it in its full glory. And I do like the voice actor behind Kang, but he was completely wrong for that particular
Well, exactly.
thing.
Why the fuck would you get the guy, the brother from Everybody Loves Raymond to play Krang? The clear choice was Steve Buscemi, for fuck's sake.
He would have been awesome.
Like that, you know, it's like, duh. You don't get some big burly guy who sounds like this to play Krang. Because Krang sounds like this. He sounds like a little old lady. You know,
Actually, you could have gotten a little old lady.
Exactly. You might have been better off. Trust me. I believe that I would have been, because Krang actually looked cool. He looked cool, but the voice was no. Yeah.
Well, so basically, I really liked it because
we're bulletproof. That was so fucking oh, geez, don't even get me started on it.
Oh, anyway, they kind of got Shredder a little bit more right than in the previous movie, and I liked Beavis.
That's because they rewrote the first movie. Fucking William Fichtner was supposed to be the Shredder. It would have been better.
I know. It would have been much better. Script Doctor, he has a great idea here. Betty White for Krang.
Hell yeah, that'd sell that movie.
That would have been something. That would absolutely.
Well, I've always liked Krang. I mean, he's just, one of those characters, because he's not even originally a comic character. He's loosely based on the Utroms. But, like, I just loved his character, and the dichotomy between him and Shredder in the old cartoons is great.
Yeah, that's why I like that movie. It was like a little bit more from the cartoons, because to me, growing up, that cartoon was the Turtles. I never read the original comics, so like that Saturday morning that I now know was a watered down version of it. I didn't know that at the time. So to me, that was the Turtles.
Well, I have this, it's still out there somewhere. I did one of my early cartoons I ever did was Krang going, "When are you gonna make me a body?" And then Shredder's like, "You have a Technodrome with thousands of dollars worth of equipment and all this, tons of equipment. Why can't you make your own damn body?" It's like that's what I couldn't understand for the first few seasons. Like, why the fuck is he worried about Shredder making him a body? He's got all this technology. It's like, what the fuck? Why do you want the guy from Earth to make you a body? Anyway, he was trying to get him to get the parts. I know, but anyway. I digress. I just thought it was kind of funny.
Well, I can't have anything, I guess.
Anyway, Talk will be here all morning, but I think we're caught up on Super Chats, are we not?
We are indeed caught up on Super Chats.
Yeah, Krang does sound a little bit like Cartman when he's throwing a fit. All right, kids. I want to thank everybody for joining us this morning. I want to thank Lauren for popping in as long as she could. That was awesome of her to join us. Do check out her new channel. Check out her old channel as well. Check out Lorena's channel. Check out Rob's channel. He even has one. Check out Midnight's Edge After Dark. We have the live archive now as well. Is there anything else we should remind people to check out, Andre, before we go?
I would only remind people to check in over the weekend, because we have some very cool scripted content coming your way. Check out Lauren Chen's channel. Also, she will be appearing later today over at our friend Mr. H over at Mr. H Reviews, where she will join him in reviewing season 1 of The Expanse, which is something that we will get on before long as well. So yeah, do check that out over at Mr. H Reviews. And other than that, we will be back again on Monday. We just had a super chat from Master Clockwork talking about the Turtles, saying, "Rest in peace, James L. Avery, sir." Yes, and I do believe he was the voice of the Shredder in addition to Uncle Phil, wasn't he?
Oh, sorry, I was muted. Yeah, he did the voice originally of Shredder. Yes, that is true.
Yeah.
Speaking of, I found the end of that cartoon. It actually has a pretty funny zinger. I think I'll take us out on that. But yeah, here we go. If you can hear it.
This is again because Donnie, it's your turn to clean it up. Here, Krang, I finally got you a body so you can quit your fucking bitch.
No, you're a real asshole, Shredder. It's been 30 fucking years, and this is what you bring me? This is a joke? Everybody knows I'm a redhead.
Oh, boy.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. That's a great one to take his out on.
All right, kids. We didn't have any more super chats, did we? Other than that one, no.
No,
Okay.
I do believe we are fully up to speed.
Everybody knows I'm a redhead. I know my cartoon sucked, but hey. All right. Take care, everybody. And I want to thank you again for joining us here on Midnight's Edge in the morning. We'll see you on Monday. Take care.